Well, this is it. The epic Skywalker saga comes to an end. And once again, no one can agree on it. Star Wars Episode 9 The Rise of Skywalker is directed by J.J. Abrams and stars Daisy Ridley, Adam Driver, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac, and Ian McDiarmid. This was one of my most hyped movies of 2019 because of Star Wars. And I'm conflicted on this movie. I really like it and some of the stuff it does, but there are still a lot of problems and a lot of things I can't get behind in this movie. And just before we start, know that there will be spoilers. The movie came out in December and it's almost March, so yeah, there's gonna be spoilers. First, let's do the positives. And my first positive is this is an ending. Like it or not, this is an ending. And you have to admire an almost 40-year-old franchise that has somehow still kept going, finally just looking at itself and being like, yeah, maybe it's time for us to end. And they do. Star Wars is gonna come back. It's always gonna come back. It's a $1 billion franchise. It's always gonna come back. And these characters might show up. But the saga, the story it's been telling since the original, is finally over. So there will be no episode 10, which is kind of nice. I love the MCU, I love Endgame, I love Far From Home, and I'm so excited for their future projects. But after Endgame, they really could have ended it. I'm glad that they didn't, but they could have. So at least Disney ended this part of the saga. Again, Star Wars will continue. Star Wars will continue. But the saga is over. The world building of the franchise continues to be great, and character introductions honestly feel very real and good. Something that surprised me that a movie at the end of its series still is really great at its world building and introducing new characters. So good job. That's something Star Wars has always been good at. You may not like the characters or the worlds, but you have to admit they're at least good at building it and making it feel real and believable that this thing is in this universe. Because really, in every movie and show, we only spend a portion in a small little bit of this galaxy. And space is infinite. So there's always going to be more stuff. So I like all the new stuff that. I like a lot of the world building that's introduced. It's done very well. The effects are great. Both practical and special effects feel very real. The sound design is great, of course, and John Williams' final Star Wars score is freaking amazing. It fixes some plot holes and disappointing things from previous movies, but in turn ends up sacrificing some things that can, for some people, end up ruining this movie or the entire franchise. I like that it really fixed a lot of plot holes, but I do hate that it sacrificed some things to do stuff like that when the plot holes were fine. But I ended up putting in positive because I kind of like them just thinking back and going like, okay, maybe we could have done this better. I like them doing that. It shows that they were at least somewhat listening during the making of this movie. Obviously, from the ending, you can tell they weren't entirely listening, but they were listening to some things. The older complaints, not the any complaints about the new trilogy. I don't think they were complaining about things. I don't think they listened to any complaints from these. Uh, the story is actually really interesting and pretty great, and it's kind of sad that the execution is pretty half-assed. This is a this is a well-written story that could have been so much better, but is rushed and not fully completed when it has the structure to be a good story. The main performances are great, even with John Boyega screaming Ray the entire time. They all do a really good job. They did a really good job this entire trilogy. Obviously, seeing these actors go, they're good. But, they'll hopefully get cast in more things, and I'll be able to see them in other things. John Boyega has been cast in a few things. Things like Detroit. That was a good movie that he was in. Uh, he was in Pacific Rim Uprising. That wasn't that good of a movie, but he was fine in it. Oscar Isaac is clearly getting a lot of work and stuff. Daisy Ridley is gonna maybe be in Chaos or Walking. Is that movie still happening? I don't know. Does anyone know? I don't think anyone knows. I think it's kind of like a 2022 release date. Is what it's at right now. That movie's been filming since like Tom Holland was underage. I'm pretty sure. I'm very sure that movie's been filming since he was cast as Spider-Man, all the way back in like 2015, 2016. Oh, that movie's not coming out. Sorry, fans of the book. I don't think that movie's ever gonna happen. I really loved seeing Harrison Ford again. It was surprising because I thought I was done with this franchise. I knew he was at the premiere, but I didn't think he'd be here. But I like seeing him. It was fun. Leia was done the best that Leia could have been done in this movie, given her unfortunate passing in 2016. And I'm glad they did this. It would have felt a slap in the face to the audience, to the fans, to the character, and to Carrie Fisher herself. Just kill her off screen in between movies, or just not even have her be in the movie and just have her mentioned. That would have been a slap in the face. Or have her CGI recreated. Instead, they chose to do recycled footage and deleted scenes. And some things that they were able to get earlier. And while some of the stuff and choices and characters may not work, and you can definitely feel like she was sidelined, it's the best they could have done. And people who are complaining, stop. She's dead. They didn't control that. That is the dumbest complaint you could think of. Leia was done poorly. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me just get out my resurrection toolkit and bring her back from the dead to do Star Wars Episode 9. They can't control that stuff. Trust me, I wish they could, but they can't. So get over it. That's an actual complaint people have. I don't get it. I liked Ben becoming good. I thought it fit sort of with what they were doing in this movie. And I liked him dying in the end. I know it's weird to say, but I liked it. I like the new force power that's introduced because I like expanding upon the force. What kind of franchise is that you're not expanding on your main power? I know I brought that up in last Jedi review, but I still hold on to that. I like the expansion of their force powers, so I like the force heal. I don't see anything wrong with it. I am interested in how it would have been done in Duel of the Fates. The original episode 9 was Colin Trevorrow. I might do a video on talking about Duel of the Fates. I don't know. But I am interested on how they would have done it. But I like what they did with Ben's character for the most part. There's one thing that happens in this movie that I wasn't a fan of with Ben or Rey's character, and you already know what I'm going on about. Reylo. My favorite part of the movie is the All the Jedi scene. I loved hearing all the voices from Liam Neeson, Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, Frank Oz, Samuel Jackson, Mark Hamill, Ashley Eckstein, Freddie Prinze Jr., Olivia Diabo, Jennifer Hale, and Angelique Perrin. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Because in the end, we see all the past Jedi live in Rey, like how all the past Sith live in Palpatine. So it's really cool seeing Rey use the two Skywalker lightsabers, harnessing both Palpatine's elect, Force lightning powers and all the Jedi's powers, just freaking destroying and incinerating, absolutely leave nothing left of Palpatine. That guy's not coming back. He's done. There's nothing left. You saw it, like you saw the skin go off. You saw the bone. That got brutal, and I loved it. It was I loved it. Killing him, all the Sith, and that was my favorite scene from this movie. One of my favorite scenes from the Star Wars saga. Might be one of my favorite scenes. It is one of my favorite scenes from 2019. Not my favorite, one of my favorite. Now to the negatives. There are some real eye-rolling moments and plot contrivances. Characters are sometimes in there just because. The Last Jedi really gets screwed over this movie. They do a lot of choices that I personally don't like because I love The Last Jedi, and it kind of upsets me that they screw over a lot of things like Rose. Like Rose wasn't a high point for me in The Last Jedi. I thought the actress did a fine enough job with what she was given. She probably could have done better if her character was done better because she seems like a very capable actress. But any chance of her getting fixed in this in this movie is done. There's a lot of pacing issues, and the writing can be pretty weak sometimes. Also, Palpatine being Rey's grandfather was a joke theory, like Goose the cat taking in Fury's eye. It's kind of stupid that this is true. 2019 was not a good year for fan theories. Don't make a fan theory ever again, because the studio don't make joke theories. Don't make theories like oh just imagine if that happened, and don't because the studio's like that's what they want. That's what they want. We're gonna make it happen. It's gonna happen. God. Finn trying to tell Rey something all movie was a plot point that was just left open for no reason. What was that? Well, it turns out he was trying to tell her that he was a Jedi. Okay, well, that would have been nice to know. In 7 or 8, that would have been a good story arc for Finn. A stormtrooper, an ex-stormtrooper who has the Force. That would have been a great story arc. That should have been made. That should have been his character arc in this entire trilogy. Obviously, they hinted at that somewhat in both movies by having him close his eyes and maybe sort of feel things out. And they also hinted at it in this movie, but they don't reveal it until John Boyega actually went on like Twitter and said, "Oh yeah, this is what happened." Why? That would have been a great plot point. Instead, Finn, an awesome character set up in 7, like I loved his character in 7, is ruined in 8 and 9. God. I don't like Raylo. I am not a Raylo shipper. I hated that kiss. It was pure cringe. Honestly, though, I ended up liking this movie more than I disliked it. I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 9 The Rise of Skywalker a 75 Sith Troopers out of 100. That's another thing. I was really looking forward to the Sith Troopers. They were cool, but they weren't in it enough. And so were the Knights of Ren. Those two were disappointing too. But at least they looked cool. Sith Troopers rock. Don't know anything about them, but they rock. And it's like Boba Fett. We didn't know anything about Boba Fett. Rocked. I might be the only Sith Trooper fan. Don't care. They're awesome. No matter what happens with this franchise, this will always be one of the greatest and one of my favorite series of all time. I'll always rewatch these movies, even the ones I hate, like 2 and 3. No matter how bad or good this franchise is, it's the one of the most important. And you can't deny it. Have you guys seen Rise of Skywalker? What did you think? Do you have hopes for this franchise? Do you have any hopes for this franchise on what you would like to see happen in the future? Let me know in the comments below. Be respectful, please. Make sure to like and subscribe. This is Jordan from Jordan Reviews. Signing off.